The evidence will show that my client is innocent. We ask for a verdict of not guilty.
The first time the judge said the word fraud, every camera in the courtroom turned toward the man who had once built an empire from nothing. His hands trembled, not because he feared prison, but because after everything he had survived, after every sacrifice, he was about to lose the only thing he had promised his late wife he would protect. Then the courtroom doors opened. A young woman in a dark blue suit stepped inside carrying a worn-out notebook wrapped in faded cloth. 17 years earlier, she had been a homeless child sleeping under a bridge with no future. Today, she was the last hope of the man who had once saved her life. Before we continue, if you believe kindness can change destinies and that every person deserves a second chance, please like this video, share it with someone you care about, leave a comment, and subscribe to Kindness Echo. Your support helps us continue bringing stories that remind the world compassion still exists. Malik Everett had never planned to become a single father. Life had forced that title upon him in the cruelest way possible. At 32, he buried his wife, Naomi, after a sudden illness that left him standing in a cemetery under a bright afternoon sky holding the tiny hand of his 5-year-old son, Isaiah. The world kept moving while his own seemed to stop. Bills arrived. Responsibilities multiplied. Grief settled into every corner of his home, like dust that could never truly be cleaned away. Malik was a black man who had grown up in a forgotten neighborhood where opportunity was a rumor rather than a reality. He had spent years building Everett Logistics, a transportation company that began with one aging truck and a relentless work ethic. He worked before sunrise and returned long after sunset. Every mile he drove was for his family, every sacrifice made with the hope that his son would never know the hunger and uncertainty he had once endured. After Naomi died, the house became painfully quiet. Isaiah withdrew into himself, and Malik learned how exhausting grief could be when there was no time to stop and feel it. He packed lunches, attended school meetings, ran his company, and pretended he was stronger than he truly was. He smiled for his son, while crying alone in the garage at night. One autumn afternoon, after a long meeting with a potential investor, Malik took a different route home. The city was bright and alive under the afternoon sun. Children played in parks. People rushed along sidewalks. Near an old railway bridge, he noticed a small figure sitting beside a shopping cart filled with blankets. She looked no older than 8. Her clothes were oversized and worn. Her hair was tangled, and despite the warmth of the day, she held herself as if the world was freezing. Most people walked past without seeing her. Malik almost did too. But then he noticed something familiar in her eyes. It was the same emptiness he had seen in Isaiah after Naomi died. The same look of someone trying desperately not to cry. He stopped. The girl's name was Amara Bennett. She had lost her mother months earlier. There was no father in the picture. Temporary shelters had failed her. Relatives had disappeared. She had learned that survival often meant staying invisible. Malik bought her a meal. Then another. Then he contacted social services. He told himself he was only helping. But kindness has a strange way of changing lives before we even realize it. Over the next several weeks, Malik visited Amara regularly. Isaiah slowly joined him. The little girl, who barely spoke, began smiling around them. She laughed for the first time while helping Isaiah feed ducks in a park. It was such a simple moment, but Malik felt something shift inside him. Grief had built walls around his heart, and somehow this child had found a doorway. Adoption was not easy. People questioned his decision. Some relatives thought he was making a mistake. Others believed a struggling widower had no business raising another child. Even business partners warned him that emotions clouded judgment. But Malik remembered what Naomi always believed. Family was not only who you were born to, Family was who chose to stay. So he chose. He adopted Amara. The day she moved into their home, she carried all her possessions in a small backpack. She stood at the doorway uncertain whether she belonged there. Malik knelt beside her and promised she would never have to earn love again. That promise changed all three of their lives. The years that followed were not perfect. Amara struggled with nightmares. She hid food in her room because part of her still feared hunger. Isaiah sometimes felt jealous of the attention she received. Malik made mistakes. He missed school events because of work. He lost his temper when exhausted. There were nights he wondered if he was failing both children. But love is not perfection. Love is staying. Slowly, healing happened. Family dinners became traditions. Birthdays were celebrated loudly. Homework was done at the kitchen table. Malik worked hard, and Everett Logistics grew into one of the most respected transportation companies in the state. What began with one truck became hundreds. He built scholarships in Naomi's memory. He donated to shelters because he never forgot where he had found Amara. As the years passed, Amara excelled in school. She was brilliant, disciplined, and fiercely compassionate. She never forgot the bridge or the loneliness. She wanted to become a lawyer because she believed people without power deserved someone willing to fight for them. Malik could not have been prouder. He framed every award she received. He attended every graduation. He sat in the audience with tears in his eyes when she entered law school. To the world, Malik Everett was a successful businessman. To Amara, he was simply Dad. Then success attracted envy. One of Malik's longtime executives, Victor Hale, had spent years quietly manipulating company records. He had built an elaborate network of financial deception while positioning himself as Malik's most trusted advisor. When investigators uncovered irregularities, Victor shifted the blame onto the founder. Suddenly, headlines changed everything. Business magazines that once celebrated Malik now questioned his integrity. Investors pulled away. Board members turned against him. Former friends disappeared. The empire he had spent decades building began collapsing. Worst of all, the accusations threatened everything he represented. Malik had built his company on honesty. Losing money was painful, but losing his name felt unbearable. The trial became national news. Reporters crowded outside the courthouse every day. Isaiah, now an architect living in another city, returned home to support his father. But even he feared the evidence looked devastating. Amara was overseas completing a legal fellowship. Malik insisted she stay and finish her work. He refused to let his troubles derail her future. Secretly, he believed there was nothing anyone could do. During sleepless nights, he looked at old family photographs. There was one picture of 8-year-old Amara smiling in sunlight while holding Isaiah's hand. He stared at that photo longer than any other. Because despite everything, adopting her remained the greatest decision of his life. The trial reached its final days. Prosecutors presented financial documents bearing Malik's authorization. Witnesses testified against him. The board distanced itself completely. Conviction seemed inevitable. As the judge prepared to move forward, the courtroom doors opened. Amara walked inside. She was 25 now. Confident, composed, brilliant. Yet in her hands she carried something unexpected. A faded notebook. The same notebook she had owned as a child. Years earlier, when she first moved into Malik's home, she had written down everything because she feared memories would disappear. She documented dates, people, places, and feelings. Over time, it became a habit. She recorded conversations, observations, and events, including something from when she was 14. One afternoon, while delivering lunch to Malik's office, she had accidentally overheard Victor discussing hidden accounts and forged authorizations. Feeling uneasy, she had written everything down, including dates and names. At the time, she had not understood its significance. But when the allegations surfaced, she remembered. She returned home and searched through every notebook she had ever kept. The details matched. More importantly, those notes led her to discover archived communications and overlooked evidence proving Victor had orchestrated the fraud years before. Amara had spent months quietly building the case while finishing her fellowship. She entered the courtroom not only as Malik's daughter. She entered as an attorney. What followed stunned everyone. The evidence dismantled the accusations piece by piece. Hidden transactions surfaced. Digital records exposed Victor's manipulations. Witnesses changed their testimony when confronted with facts they could no longer deny. For the first time in months, hope returned to Malik's eyes. He watched the little girl he had once rescued stand with courage before powerful people and defend the truth. The homeless child nobody wanted had become the woman capable of saving everything. But the most powerful moment was not legal. It was personal. Because in that courtroom, Malik finally realized something extraordinary. He had believed he rescued Amara. The truth was they had rescued each other. She gave Isaiah a sister. She brought laughter back into a grieving home. She reminded a broken father how to love again. And now she was saving not just his company, but his name. The court ruled in Malik's favor. Victor was held accountable. Everett Logistics survived. But Malik emerged from the ordeal changed. He stepped away from daily operations and expanded the foundation supporting homeless children and foster youth. He and Amara traveled together speaking about adoption, compassion, and the life-changing power of kindness. Because empires are not measured by money. They are measured by lives changed. If this story has touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like, share, and leave a comment. Your engagement helps these stories reach people who may desperately need hope today. And before the ending, I have one special request. Comment the words, "Kindness changes destinies." If you believe one act of compassion can transform an entire life.